Jennifer Lawrence is once again on the interview circuit for the first time in about 2 years, or at least that's the last time that I heard from her, mostly because, well, the last time we heard from her, she was out there trying to promote the idea that she was the first female action star ever.
I remember when I was doing Hunger Games, nobody had ever put a woman in the lead of an action movie because it wouldn't work.
Right. Yeah, the Hunger Games. It was the very first time we ever seen women in action movies. But yes, apparently she's smartened up, or she has smartened up to the tone and the tenor of things as they have changed since December of 2022. Holy crap, 3 years ago. I can't believe that clip is that old at that point in time, mostly because it gets referenced so often, mostly because, yeah, Jennifer Lawrence, whenever she normally has a microphone in front of her, she's fairly insufferable. Now, she's not quite on the level of like a Mark Ruffalo or Mark Hamill, but she has a simmering level of stupidity to her. But now that she's opened up a production house, one that is, alongside Emma Stone and a dude in a dress working on a Miss Piggy movie, like what the hell are we doing out here? But yeah, it all kind of makes sense, right? Because she's trying to rehab her personality, okay? Because if you guys recall, like, she was the big hot thing, mostly because, well, we all kind of know who she was cozying up to right before he became the entire bane of Hollywood and got thrown into the can, Harvey Weinstein. But anyways, how's your kid doing, JLaw? I digress. But couple the production studio up with her on the wrong side of 30 as a Hollywood actress, and she's trying to do that thing that, well, smart actresses do, if we're going to be completely honest about this. Because here's the thing, man, you can't be hot forever. And if you're one of those rare talents, you also have to understand that there's a new crop of 18-year-olds popping up every single day. So, if you have that one intangible about you, you can be hot, you can go ahead and run wild for a minute, but you also have to develop the jump shot. Shout out Patrice O'Neal. When you're in your late teens into your early to mid 20s, you can just charge to the rim as hard as you can. You can posterize motherfuckers as much as you want, but eventually your knees are going to start to hurt. Your back's going to start giving you a little bit of an issue. And some of those young guns, well, they're coming for your spot. So in the case of Jennifer Lawrence, it took her a little while to figure out that, hey, not a lot of people really care that much about what actors have to say. Because, now she's coming around to the idea that, as she says that she was annoying in old interviews and gets why the public rejected her personality. I lose control over my craft when I have to do press for a movie. Still, you're not really taking any responsibility. You are just as that headline points out to me, it's like, okay, cool. You know exactly what to say to get your name in the headlines right now. And yeah, it's working because everybody's talking about her, and especially the other stuff that she's saying about, oh, how I regret talking about things. Does she really? No, man. She just also understands that there's not a lot of capital in doing the stuff that she used to do that got her into this pit of popularity that she's at. Instead, she's probably looking around as a savvy individual, as a savvy operator in the Hollywood system, and seeing what everybody else is doing and realizing that, oh shit, if I was 27 years old back in the cut when everybody was giving me the Sydney Sweeney attention that she's getting right now, and I was acting the way that she was, perhaps I wouldn't have had to get stripped down and spit roasted in order to get another paycheck. Perhaps. But yeah, instead of doing the self-flagellation tour that Jennifer Lawrence is doing for Sydney Sweeney to get her name in headlines, well, she just needs to show up in Bilbo's mithril vest to some fempowerment conference or a movie premiere or something like that. It really doesn't much matter, man. Her nipples were pointing out of her shirt, okay? And that's what everybody was talking about at the beginning of the week. Frankly, I don't care. I'm not fucking her, so I don't give a shit what she's wearing. But it's a means to promote a movie. And when she gets a microphone put in her face and asked about controversial, non-controversial topics, well, this is how she responds to it.
The criticism of the content, which was basically that maybe specifically in this political climate, like, white people shouldn't joke about genetic superiority.
Yo, just look at her face. She's like, bro, what are you even talking about? But okay. And it's like, and it's so funny, right? Because I've joked about, Sydney Sweeney's kind of fetal alcohol syndrome eyes. And she's just, I don't know, man. She's not a butterface, because that would imply that she's ugly. It's just there's a marked step down from the quality of her body as opposed to the aesthetics of her face. I like her a lot. Like, I think she's got a good head on her shoulders. It's just, got to call a spade, or in this case, a glass of milk.
Like, that was kind of like the criticism, broadly speaking. And since you are talking about this, I just wanted to give you an opportunity to talk about that specifically.
I think that when I have an issue that I want to speak about, people will hear.
Yep. Yo, listen. Okay, I'll go. You just need to chill for a second because, yeah, I was selling jeans, and frankly, if anybody was offended by that, I guess they're just too fat to fit into those jeans American Eagle was selling because it did fucking numbers for them. But yeah, you can just be based like that, or you have to just wait until your popularity wanes like Jennifer Lawrence and then go on this capitulation tour. I know what road I would recommend for young actresses, but yeah, okay. And I was going to say, it's like, well, given the fact that, Lawrence did win an Oscar, walking the path that she did, I mean, talk to me again in January. Because it's really looking like, and it's sounding a lot like for that Christie movie, that Sydney Sweeney could be getting an Oscar as well, which would be absolutely hilarious. And we know how desperate the Oscars are for ratings, but that's another topic for another time. Jennifer Lawrence recently told The New Yorker that she was hesitant to speak to the press while promoting her movies. The Oscar winner has been a tabloid fixture for 15 years and once told fellow actor Viola Davis, "Now every time I do an interview, I think I can't do this myself again, or I can't do this to myself again. I feel like I lose so much control over my craft when I have to do press for a movie." When the subject of Lawrence's old interviews came up, the actor Winston said, "Oh no, it's so hyper, so embarrassing." While the public initially loved Lawrence for her candid, self-deprecating personality, yeah, it begins to fucking wane. It begins to wear and grind on people. Here's the thing, man. It's like any type of self-deprecating humor. It's funny the first time, but when you just keep on deriding yourself, people start to ask the question. It's like, ooh, if you don't even think that much about you, why the fuck am I spending any time with you? Why do I give a shit? So yeah, self-deprecation in doses, and as long as it doesn't tear down to your core, it's fine. But when you make that your entire personality, it's as grating as Marvel humor. But yeah, the perception of her online eventually soured with claims that she was all fake, which is kind of what I'm picking up on with this current personality. Well, it is, or it was my genuine personality, but it was also a defense mechanism. Oh, so it wasn't your genuine personality. Okay. And it was a defense mechanism just to be like, I'm not like that. I poop my pants every day. I look at those interviews and that person is annoying. I get why seeing that person everywhere would be annoying. Ariana Grande's impression of me on SNL was spot on. I'll take your word for it. A Celebrity Family Feud sketch from 2016. Holy shit, man. That's how long Jennifer Lawrence has been around. Yeah, no wonder she's waxing fantastic about her nostalgic interviews and thinking, oh, golly gee gosh, I just really wasn't all that in all of those old interviews. And now she's also coming around to the idea that, actors and actresses talking politics, guys, that's not really popular. Oh, geez, it's almost like about a year ago at this point in time when the political climate really did actually start to change. A lot of people started to say that. They began to reassess the landscape and come to that conclusion that, actors and actresses, you never had a more overt representation of the establishment against the people in the 2024 presidential election, and you've seen exactly where they lined up. All of those endorsements for Kamala ended up amounting to a hill of beans. She lost the popular vote. She got destroyed in the Electoral College. That lets you know that, all of the Avengers assembling, all of the female rappers in the world, all getting on the K train, and zilch. All of those years. The decade of Orange Man bad to your average person, it doesn't really it doesn't matter much. It falls on deaf ears. But yes, Jennifer Lawrence says she's done attacking Trump, admits celebrity political activism doesn't change votes. Yeah, geez, you're kind of a year late on this, but hey, you got a movie to promote. And you see now the only way to get your name in headlines is to take the easy path now. In a surprising shift that stands out in an industry often defined by outspoken activism. Not really. Jennifer Lawrence has announced that she is stepping back from political commentary. Oh no, unfortunately we're losing such a great mind. It would be just as devastating as if, the Daily Wire folded up, because they are just as relevant when it comes to political commentary. Specifically, commentary about President Trump, the Hunger Games star who spent years criticizing Trump and urging political engagement against him, now says she no longer believes celebrity rhetoric impacts elections and doesn't want to alienate moviegoers. But you've had several years at this point in time of Hollywood actively collapsing because you spent the past 15 years telling them that half the audience doesn't fucking matter, forcing in your messages, your pet projects at the behest of most of the audience. Even the people that would be sympathetic towards most of those issues actually don't want to see them in any of your movies. So yeah, man, she's just a day late and a dollar short. She wants to be popular again. She's just saying the popular things. In a new interview with the New York Times podcast, The Interview, Lawrence addressed her past high-profile remarks about Trump and the polarized climate around celebrity politics. Her comments represent a major tonal departure from peak 2016-2020 campaigns, where she made headlines for strongly opposing his administration. I don't really know if I should, when she was asked whether or not she would be vocal about Trump during his second term. Lawrence explained the tone and the pace of political discourse during Trump's first term fueled her own urgency at the time. The first Trump administration was so wild, and just how can we let this stand? I felt like I was running around like a chicken with my head cut off. But according to her, the last few election cycles revealed something Hollywood has rarely admitted publicly. As we've learned election after election, celebrities don't really make that much of a difference whatsoever on who people vote for. Yeah, and you know what? I'm going to go ahead and double down on this because, okay, you had election day for, what do you call this cycle? The midterms? Okay, there were a couple of states. There were it was a bunch of East Coast shit and West Coast coastal shit, okay? Like New York City elected a new commie mayor. California passed a bunch of fucking, Democrat gerrymandering laws. And the fucking, trad cuck talking heads were all just fucking freaking out because blue places voted very blue. Oh my God. Saying that, all of this right infighting. Oh my God, Tucker Carlson talking to Nick Fuentes. Oh, this is what happens when you don't patrol the right. Yo, those conservatives, they don't understand, okay? You guys need just a little bit of self-esteem, okay? You don't need to constantly be validated from the left. Get your heads out of your own asses long enough to realize that you're living in a world defining yourself based on the actions of people that want you dead, and you think that they might be upset because two people they don't give a fuck about are talking to one another? Oh, okay, cool. And also it lets you know that for all this blabbing that you do, and actually conservative talk radio back in the 90s and early 2000s was much bigger than the podcasting space is right now, and it has always, at the ballot box at least, really hasn't amounted to much. Because, okay, I'm just gonna wrap up the JLaw stuff here, kind of coming to perhaps even more of an extreme position. So Lawrence, the conclusion is clear. Continuing to sound off offers little value and risks dividing audiences. So what am I doing? I'm just sharing my opinion on something that's going to add fuel to the fire and that's ripping the country apart. We are so divided. Instead, she says, focusing on shifting back to her work. I want to protect my craft so that I can still get lost in what I'm doing and what I'm showing. If I can't say something that's going to speak to some kind of peace or lowering the temperature or some sort of solution, I don't want to be a part of the problem. I just want to make the problem, I don't want to make the problem worse. And that's the thing, man. People normally just come to their political or their entertainment conclusions. They just naturally come to those positions on their own, okay? Based on their own personal experiences. This is what I'm really finding. And then when that voice in the back of their head gets a little bit too loud, then they seek out other like-minded individuals to try to flesh out their opinions a little bit more. And yeah, they're going to evolve over the years. But basically, people come to their own conclusions and they want them reinforced. It's confirmation bias, obviously. Some people want to sit in their little echo chambers. Other people want to flesh out their ideas by just checking out what everybody else has to say. But when you have people that are just so steadfast in their opinions and they have the bully pulpit, they have the biggest megaphone like Hollywood, and they want to tell you exactly what to think, that just drives people away. And Jennifer Lawrence finally came to that conclusion, something that so many people online have been talking about for years. And so I wish her best in her future endeavors. And honestly, I can't remember the last time I watched a Jennifer Lawrence movie, and I'm not exactly going to schedule it out on my calendar for a new one anytime soon. So with all that said, thank you all very much for the gift of your time. I've been Don Consuelo. I want you to follow your gut and get after it. Take care, everyone.